inside out, make my heart beat, need no one else. You're all I need, personality, everything you do, it's me love, everything about you. Your smile, your style, so fly.
Hey, what's going on? I'm Rian Goins.
And I'm Noelle Goins.
And this is another Goins Guidance.
Yay!
Thank you guys for subscribing, liking, and sharing our video.
Yes, please subscribe.
Yes.
Okay.
We appreciate it. Today's Goins Guidance is about closure, which is a very, very important topic. Would you agree?
Closure. A lot of us, if we don't get closure, then we are reckless.
Yeah.
And some of us feel we need closure to heal and move on.
Right.
And we think we need it from a person, and sometimes that's not the case.
Right. So we're going to kind of break that down a little bit.
Yeah.
Traditionally, the way I believe that society views closure is you need to have a conversation with the person. Now, we're speaking more to relationships, but this is definitely family dynamic,
friends,
work dynamic, all the above. And I'm sure that
why did you fire me?
Right.
I need to know. You just got rid of me?
Right. Why you ain't my friend no more? I mean, and it's
Right.
It's painful because when you build a relationship with anyone in any context, whether it is a friend, family, relationship, work, all of the above, you did build a level of a bond there to some degree. Now, it doesn't have to, different bonds are different. Like different relationships have longer periods of, bonding emotionally, spiritually, however you want to see that. But nonetheless, when the relationship is no longer, a lot of times we think like, man, how did that break down? Like, I need closure from that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, lack of closure, especially if you feel you need closure from that person.
Right.
Because again, if we're talking about it in the context of a relationship, if two people break up, maybe one person wanted to break up with someone more than the other,
Right.
they leave that person with no explanation, or just not an explanation that was enough for the person who got left.
Right.
And the person who is left feels, I need closure. Like I'm not getting, this person isn't talking to me anymore,
Right.
or I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And they feel in order for them to move on, they have to have that type of closure with that person. And that's a societal view. And I think it's a human nature view, but then closure really is spiritual, because if I'm in a relationship with someone, they hurt me, they move on, I'm broken,
Right.
they pass away, I'm not going to get closure from them if they're no longer here. So we can get deep. Yeah,
no, that's a great point, because also another way that people, the unspoken closure is they move on they ghost them. That's the term used. You ghost somebody and out of sight, out of mind. And what happens is when that happens, you didn't really rectify why things broke down. And so you're on to the next relationship, or just in that dynamic, you're on to the next relationship, and then eventually the same issues that caused the previous relationship to mess up, those come back up in this new relationship. And then they call it, well, those are red flags. Well, I mean, is it really a red flag in that
as red as your shirt?
Right. Well, yeah, it's definitely a red flag, but is a red flag really the other person, or is it the person that hasn't healed?
Yeah, I mean, because obviously Ryan and I were in previous relationships, and I know I've been in relationships where I, felt like I had to make the closure myself, because this person, he, left me feeling like just completely ghosted or abandoned or left or just broken. And I had to, navigate through that with God, because I wasn't going to get the apology. Because again, sometimes it's just an apology that somebody wants. And you may be the person that's supposed to give it, or you're the person that would like to hear it. But in order for you to move on, and again, had I not had closure with any past relationship, Ryan and I could not have met with a clean slate.
Right.
When I met Ryan, I wasn't bitter. I wasn't upset. I wasn't sad.
Right.
Same with Ryan. He
Right.
was optimistic. We were
Right.
both like completely detached from previous relationships.
Right.
Now, when you get into a relationship for real, obviously, if there's any unhealed wounds, any unresolved issues, they're obviously going to come up, especially in marriage. I mean, they're going to come up before that, in marriage, they really show up.
Yeah.
And the closure sometimes that you thought you had over anything with a family member or whatever can come up, and you have to acknowledge that and deal with it.
Right.
And if you can't deal with it with that person, which is always the healthiest way.
Right.
If somebody wants closure
Very
from
mature
you,
way.
give it to them.
Yeah, because
it's better for you and them and any future relationships that you're going to have. And if you're the person that's demanding closure and someone won't give it to you, God is like, hey, talk to me. Focus on me, not that person. Because I'm still working on them.
Yeah. and she's so right and well said too, because closure has levels then. Because
it's levels.
When you have had God intervene to bring you closure for the best relationship that you're going to have in life, when you get into a healthy relationship, then like she said, there are things even in a healthy relationship that's going to come up, that's going to be dealt with now in the relationship. I tell people now is that you're never really ready for a relationship, because things that you feel that you've overcome, you're just getting started in a relationship, because a relationship is designed to mold you, build your character. It's designed to help mature you. So you don't have to have this overzealous, like, okay, I got the closure, now I'm ready for the relationship, because you will be surprised that you are going to still deal with things and new things that's going to make your relationship better. So closure definitely is spiritual, because you have to have at least that base level of closure so that you don't repeat said mistakes.
I mean, I was point like, yes, because you know, lack of closure can have you again being reckless in your future relationships. If it's obviously a romantic relationship and one person, two people need closure. It's not when they say one person is like, I need closure, the other person needs it too. Because I don't care what anybody says. I may have I moved on. I'm good. I don't know what his problem is. I mean, but again, I know what his problem is. You know what I'm saying? And yes, I know sometimes you can say all that can be said, and that is it, and that is up to that person to get closure spiritually. You've done all you can do, but most of the time that level of communication that it takes to have true closure just doesn't happen, because we don't feel like it. We don't feel like dealing with it. We don't have the patience for it. We already done jumped on to somebody else, so I'm done. But here's the thing. Honesty with yourself. If someone wants closure and they're broken because maybe you broke them, then you got to understand why they want some closure.
Absolutely.
And if you're someone who wants closure from someone who just is not, who doesn't care, then you already know God is like, focus on me. God always wants us to focus on him anyway. Because if we did, you wouldn't leave somebody broken, and you wouldn't be the person who is broken.
That's good.
Because God is it. God is always like, look at me. I wouldn't have somebody break you like that. And I wouldn't want any of my children to break someone else like that.
Absolutely.
But closure, again, usually when people do that, it's something that they've also are dealing with. Or didn't have closure with. And they don't even realize it.
Don't even realize it. And that's so important, because true spiritual closure will have you, again, ready for a real relationship. A real, like, let's take just work, for example. Why do you keep getting fired? Why do you seem to have, if you're talking to your friend, and your friend is a good friend, like, you know, you had that same issue at your last job. Maybe it's not the job. maybe it's something in you that you need to have closure on so that you can have that career, business, or position of influence. I know it just in the workspace, like there are things that I can complain about until I realize, like, oh snap, I need closure on how I'm perceiving this and how I'm responding to this so that I can be the best employee, employer, business owner possible. So that's in all relationships.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Like,
if it's good, jump in, baby. Jump in.
Well, you're making me think of, like, again, obviously the job market is, there's so many jobs and they're not really paying a lot.
Right.
And you saw a lot of businesses during the pandemic either like thrive and just really improve through gratitude and just appreciation of their employees. And, and then you had businesses where the food was really good before and now it's not. Like things started to decline, the service or whatever, for so many different reasons. And, if it's in business, a business owner who's disgruntled, anyone who is disgruntled about anything may not treat their business or the employees of their business with love, right? And appreciation and gratitude. And it's like, what is it, like, what are you upset with? What have you not made amends with or worked on? Or what is it that is unresolved in you where you can't see your business could be better if you would treat people better?
So good. And
closure is obviously, it's a relationship. It's result oriented from relationships. Yeah. I don't need closure from, the hat that he's wearing. You know what I mean? I need the clothes on the back to fit, but I don't need closure from an object.
Right, exactly.
I need closure from a person.
Yeah.
And so a lot of us that are in a place feeling like unresolved, it's usually something else, something previous. So you were saying, like, in the workplace, what is it in you that is unresolved? Can you get closure from whatever that is? If you can't, then it's within you, which is God. So maybe that's where your closure is going to come from.
Yeah, because God could choose to bring said person around later to whatever dynamic that you need closure in at another point in time, or not. The focus is not to, in essence, get closure from an individual as much as closure is more self, and closure literally equals healing. So when we're talking about closure, we're simultaneously talking about healing because they go hand in glove. Healing is, if you're sick, then you need to be healed, right? So if you're emotionally or you're mentally sick because of toxic relationships or hurt, broken, then that needs to be healed so that you can have a better life and establish better relationships. Sometimes closure, which equals healing, is that person was not for you, or they had ill will towards you, or even if that didn't come out right away, God can see the full timeline of you guys' relationship together and say, at the very get-go, not gonna work, or let that person go. How many times have we held on to someone trying to be the fixer or the savior of a relationship when really closure is you letting them go, as opposed to them letting you go?
The closure that you want might be you doing it because the closure that you want from a person who's hurt or who you feel has wronged you or who has hurt you, the closure is leaving them alone.
because if you don't leave them alone, then they can't heal, because their makeup at that moment. And we're saying, mind you, anyone can change. Anyone can grow. That's the whole point. If they want to. So a person that's used to manipulating somebody, for example, if you gave off that vibe of manipulation, then they're going to be drawn towards you. And the closure or the healing is the boundaries. Is to say, no, I'm not letting this person in my life. I'm not going to allow that to happen. If you haven't had closure, then you may be repeating that cycle of letting people come into your life and be like, oh man, this always happens to me. It's because you haven't healed in that area to put up healthy boundaries. It wasn't until I saw myself as valuable like I should, which established me to have a healthy outlook on life. And from that, I was able to get excited about my business. And then from there, I was able to meet my wife and be very happily married. And happily married is not to say you don't have issues, but it's to say that I'm healed enough to be here. Yeah. And God is continuing to grow us, because no one's going to be perfect. So we're not saying you have to be perfect in order to have the best relationship, but we are saying that there is growth in stages throughout your whole life.
Yeah, and again, closure comes from, two people wanting to resolve something.
Right.
And a lot of times one person doesn't want to resolve it the way the other person does.
Absolutely.
And again, that's romantically or just platonically or family, friends.
Yeah.
So it's just, closure ultimately is spiritual. Yeah. Whether someone can give it to you or not, whether you want to give it to someone or not.
Right.
Focusing on God giving you that closure, which comes really solely from Him. Because someone can say, I gave you closure and I'm still not happy. And I don't believe it. And it's not helping. I'm still in pain. So you're ultimately going back to God anyway. Right. So we just wanted to bring that up as a topic because, being married, we have so many people that we love in our lives that are either also married or we're married and want to be married again, or friends that are dating and still navigating through relationships, and we want everybody to be happy and in love. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. And because we're married now, and again, we're not spring chickens, so we've been through relationships, plural, to know what it's like to not receive closure, to have to heal on your own, and move on despite someone never apologizing for what they did to you or whatever, or maybe somebody just being upset with you and thinking it's you when whatever. And we had to, get to a place of healing on our own, so that way we could meet in a place of sheer, just like there's no current baggage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We all have emotional baggage.
Right.
That's just life, and that's okay. But again, I wanted to meet my husband in a place of like, there's nothing going on. Right. I'm not mad at anybody. I'm not upset at anyone. I'm not bitter. Right. And that allowed me to meet someone who also wasn't that way. Yeah. There was nobody, we weren't rebounding, at all. We were optimistic, and we were I didn't know I was going to be married, but I knew that I was going to be in a relationship that God sent to me, because any closure that I ever thought I needed was over with. Was completely over with.
And I'll say this last thing is, it's always a baby step. It's not a big leap. Right. Sometimes, I want the closure that y'all talking about right now.
Yeah, I'm calling, I'm emailing, I'm texting, I'm DMing, and I'm gonna go to their house. No.
Yeah, it's like, what closure is you talking about?
This person just said this.
Right.
I would be good. And it's like,
it could be.
Maybe not.
It could be cut off your phone and get off social media and go to bed. That could be the first step.
Might be.
It might be. You know what I'm saying? Whatever God put on your heart to do that. Do the last thing. And then as you flow, then it'll become easier and easier, because I always love to show so much grace because it's a real, we're not downplaying.
That's a whole other topic. Grace.
Yeah, we're not downplaying hurt. Like, we trust and believe that we never want to come off as not being compassionate, because
that's impossible.
That's impossible. And that, compassionate. That the heart the heart is that every person matters. Like, all of you matter. No matter what. And, you know, our thing is, wherever you're at in your journey, you know what I'm saying, whether you messed up or whether you weren't the one that messed up, you know, we all need grace, and we all can start now, and we can make steps to being in the best position to meet that person, to have a restored family dynamic that may have fallen out, to have a great work environment, so on and so forth, to have new friends, or even friendships that have broken down that shouldn't have. It can start now, and it just takes grace, and that grace can help you say, you know what, I'm gonna make a choice to be open, to see where I'm not receiving spiritual closure or healing today.
Yep.
With that being said, thank you again for subscribing.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for supporting, because we really enjoy this love, laughter, and Goins guidance, lessons and learning. We're always learning with you guys.
Yay.
And we'll see you at the next one.
Bye.
You're the one in a million.